Yo, yo. How we looking? How we doing? Uh, such as potential. All right. Let's see. Give this a few minutes. Hey, how are we? Sometimes these chats drive me absolutely crazy. Yo, yo, what's up? Randy, what's up, dog? What's up? I'm on late tonight, you know? I'm about to go to the gym, so but I had to hop on here for a few minutes, you know what I mean? We had to hop on. It's been too long, man. Rob, what's up, man? Hope you guys are doing well. It's been a busy week already. What's the latest with you guys? What do you got going on? Miss Rodney's live because I was at the gym. Yeah, dude. I mean, when you're busy and stuff, you gotta still get to the gym, you know? That's me. It's like it's almost. I mean, it's mandatory for me. I lose my mind if I go like 2 or 3 days and I don't without the gym. My wife starts. She starts getting mad at me because I start getting super pissy. So okay, Rob, you're picking up some heat from Andrew. That's awesome. Yeah, I wish I could go out to Tinley. I think there's going to be some interesting conversations had at Tinley this year. So I've never been. I need to head out maybe next year or something. But I really want to get like a retic fest going, but I want to make it fun. You know, I don't want to just go to a retic fest and have a bunch of speakers and then feel bad for talking about what I'm doing. So I'm looking forward to hopefully putting something together. I've talked to Rodney, talked to Andrew a little bit. If we can put something together where it's like really fun. We go out, we do some herping. We stop at Rodney's place. Rodney's dad actually has a bunch of land out in PA. So that would be just a good time. Bunch of like timber rattlesnakes and stuff out there. But yeah, a lot of people are going out to Tinley. So it'll be interesting to see who picks up what. I've been talking to Ryan Conkey over at Dream Reptiles. Is it Dream or Dreamer Reptiles? I forget. The last few days, we got him all dialed in with one of my shipping partners to hopefully start shipping out feeders. So I think he's going to do rabbits and rats. So that's pretty interesting. And I actually am putting an order. I put an order in with him on the rabbit side. So I'm kind of the guinea pig and going to be testing that out. But I think he's going to crush it with what he's wanting to do with feeders. And the thing I think it's, dude, if you guys don't know, like feeders, that's a great business model right there. The problem is like the problem is you're having to deal with feeders. I guess that's the problem because I've looked at it a number of times. I'm like, dude, I would love to start like a feeder business because not to name drop, but I've connected with a lot of these different companies and been trying to help them with their shipping or their merchant processing because that's kind of what I do. And knowing what kind of numbers they're pushing in terms of like gross revenue. Now, granted, it's not all take home, right? You got expenses and all that, but I mean, some of these feeder companies are crushing it right now, and a lot of them can't keep up with demand. So it is pretty interesting. So good, both routes and rabbit are the same. Oh, dude, it's so crazy. I think I don't want to beat the dead horse. I didn't watch Rodney's live. But I'm assuming because Rodney and I spoke a little bit earlier today, it was about feeders and stuff like that. And it's crazy because I was on Chewy because I buy my substrate Reptile Prime through Chewy. That's really the only place you can buy it. Brian Barczyk's product. I think it's a killer product. That's another business where I feel like anybody that goes into that could crush it. Um, it really just boils down to marketing because the demand is so high. But Rodent Pro, not to call them out, but like their prices are crazy on Chewy. Rodent Pro's prices don't make sense. And it's because they're Chewy's wanting to make their cut on those sales for their platform. Rodent Pro is already pretty expensive. And historically speaking, I've worked pretty closely with Des over at Cold Blooded Cafe, but she's out of a lot of stuff. The demand is, she can't keep up with demand. So it's kind of a problem. And then I reached out to Weston here in Utah because Weston only lives like 15 minutes from my house, and he clears out one of the main like rabbit breeders out here, show rabbit breeders that are local to us. So he cleans them out, and then I guess there's another retic guy that goes down south and picks up stuff from somebody else. But it's just a whole mess. I've called a couple other rabbit breeders, but they just don't have the quantity. They're not breeding like that, to supply like that. So it is kind of an interesting thing that we're dealing with. But and then I go to Orem, which is about 30 minutes north of where I'm at, and I go to the Noah's Ark is the pet store name. So it's like a privately owned pet store, and they do a really good job. I can't PetSmart and Petco and all those places. It's like, man, that you're really looking at bottom of the barrel stuff when it comes to species and husbandry claims and all that kind of stuff. But so I went to Noah's Ark because, dude, they've got some really cool animals there. I mean, they're getting super niche. I was actually going to talk to them because I was like, hey, at some point, if I'm curious if they would ever pick up any Superdorf stuff. But I go and I ask them, I'm like, hey, how much is it for jumbo rats kind of thing? And they're like, well, we do packs, and it's like for 10, it was like $110 or something for 10 jumbos. I was like, holy crap, man. So I don't know what's happening, but I think it's a legitimate thing, a legitimate potential problem for some folks. Like, and I think historically speaking, the marketing from some breeders in terms of selling super dwarfs has been like, oh, the cost is low or whatever. And it's like, it's still gonna cost you a pretty penny to keep your stuff fed, especially if you have a decent sized collection. So you got to take that stuff into consideration. But anyway, so that's what we're working on. I'm helping Ryan out, and there's a couple other people that are interested in getting into the feeder space. I think Rodney mentioned somebody he knows. So I'm just trying to help on the shipping side, and then just get into a platform that is really user friendly and can kind of automate a lot of the back end stuff for these folks, so it's easier to get their business off the ground. So I'm trying to think what else is going on. We talked about feeders. What else is going on out there? Really want to get the podcast up and running again. We want to get, I kind of want to bring back like some of the group discussions and having a bunch of people come on. It's just crazy busy, and Rodney's got a bunch of clutches in the incubator. He's about to get busier. I'm hoping, who knows? I mean, what goes on with some of the females I have right now, but I'm pretty confident my Kaiwadi is gravid, but I could be completely wrong on that. I'm pretty confident, but who knows? Maybe she's just kind of getting back to normal. But I did kind of hear through the grapevine from a few different folks that before they really swell up and like really get bloated, they kind of, I don't know, they kind of get back down to normal. But she's kind of got this. She's just really taut right now. She's just really firm, really taut. So hopefully, I think things are still moving. I should know in the next. a week or two, I would assume, if things actually took. But I threw the mail back in with her today, and they just kind of went on both ends of the cage. He wasn't arching at all. Um, so I think whatever breeding was supposed to happen either did happen or it didn't happen. So we're kind of at that point. But I am excited. If she is gravid, I'll be over the moon. And then last night, I've been throwing my hypo in occasionally with that super door from Daniel Solis. She's super silver. And, I haven't really seen him do much arching at all, which has been kind of strange and weird. She's actually looking really puffy and she's looking like she's swelling up. But I haven't ever seen them lock up, really no breeding behavior. And then last night he was starting to kind of do his thing. So I was like, I'm hoping this is one of those like really awesome surprises that happen where she's gravid or is on the way or ovulating and cycling towards that. Um, but yeah, all three of my females are, I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen this with your females, but either they're in breeding mode, cycling, ovulating, gravid. None of them want anything to do with me right now, which is kind of interesting. They're just kind of throwing their coils at me, and they're not super happy. So once again, we will see. We're dealing with the new breeder Olympics over here, so that's just part of the process. But when in doubt, I just been throwing the males back in and seeing how they react. So I threw the super phantom in with the head OGS about a week ago, and she was wagging her tail, Coleca open, not super stoked about that. So I pulled him out. She's not ready. I think she needs one more shed. I think she needs one more shed and she'll be close. Um, so I mean, I would be happy with one clutch this year. Two would be over the moon awesome because that means I'm either hitting on head hypos or super dwarf cows, which would be crazy. Either one of those would be like over the moon. My Kaiwadi stuff's going to be really fun too, but if I hit one of the other ones, I would just be crazy, go crazy about it. So, what else is happening? I'm trying to think. Uh, you know, just trying to. I've been so busy with work and everything, and just trying to push things forward. And like I said, just trying to bring things back to a good baseline of, hey, we want people to come on the podcast. We want to focus on pushing, you know, pushing and promoting other keepers, new breeders. Like that's I don't want to get away from that goal. And I know last week got a little bit nutty with all the Garrett stuff, and then I think the week before it was, the Lucas stuff or whatever. So I kind of told Rodney, I just said, hey man, like it's good. We said our piece, whatever. I said my piece. And I even had some messages about it, just saying like, hey man, like I really appreciate you speaking up and all this kind of stuff, whatever. But it's time to kind of get back in line with why we're doing what we're doing, kind of thing, which is really just to help people in the community. So, I mean, like I said, speaking up is good, but marinating in that energy is not. And so I think just being able to speak the truth, come out, take a stance, because I had somebody kind of ask me in my DMs on Instagram, they're like, with your brand and kind of like who you are, like it's, not contradictory, like speaking out against Lucas or Garrett or all that drama or whatever, but just like basically kind of saying like, hey, why are you doing this? Why are you taking this stance? Like, why are you getting drawn into this negativity, whatever? And I thought about it for a minute and I responded and I basically just said, listen, it's not about stirring up drama or, marinating in this negativity or any of that kind of stuff. But I said, especially for someone like me that's been in this for 4 years and I'm really just getting started, I've seen a lot of good people leave this space and leave this community because of the misinformation that has been presented to them or them being taken advantage of. And so it just got to a point where, even if there's consequences to me speaking up or taking kind of a stance on certain things, it got to the point where I could not stay silent on certain things anymore. So we said our piece, put it out there. I think there's more people that align with that or align with that way of thinking you know than what's being kind of talked about. But I think yeah, I think everybody just wants to make the community a better place. And so that's kind of where we're at with stuff. But excuse me. Um, so yeah. So like I said, moving on, want to focus on getting people back on the podcast. Um, I still do want to do that live though of reacting to some of the old Samson videos because that's just pure entertainment. It's just fun. It's just funny, dude. Because that's the thing. Honestly, Rodney made a good point when it comes to you watch the Tiger King during COVID because everyone's locked up or whatever. And I said the C word, so you know I don't want to get banned on YouTube or anything here, but everyone's watching Tiger King, and it's just so funny to me because 1,000%, and this sounds messed up, but 1,000% Samson could have landed a TV deal. 1,000% with just who he is. And, the other thing is too, we're getting a lot of new keepers, new breeders, and we want people to be informed. We want people to know a little bit about the history of retics and the retic community. I think that's important. Because it gives people context, and I know Rodney will go off here or there or whatever, and people don't understand it. They're like, but there's, especially with people like Jake or whatever. I mean, there's years of context, which you're not going to get up to speed with overnight. But I think having some of that, like with Samson, it's like probably the worst animal or snake abuse case that we've ever seen. Right. So understanding some of these different things and why people get into these situations and what they do. And, they get too many animals and they're into other stuff or whatever. It's good. It's good to look at these different people and be like, okay, I don't want to replicate that. I don't want to replicate this, but I want, there's some things here where, yeah, these people were good at these different things. So, anyway, I think you can learn from everybody or any situation really, but like I said, I do want to do that because I do remember before all the Samson stuff came out, Samson as the character and looking at buying retics and stuff when you're not informed, it's like he's very good. He's very good at selling. He's very convincing, and that's why he was in business. That's why he was able to move animals still and get by. Because that's the other thing you got to think about. It's like, yeah, he neglected his animals. Like I said, the worst case I think ever documented or with evidence when it comes to retics or snakes. But yeah, it's like to put that facade on and be this other human being on the other side of it, and put this show on. It was like to witness that firsthand as it was unraveling. Um, it was so nutty. It was so nutty. And then I think it was what was her name? I think it was Cassandra, his assistant or whatever. She had rainbow hair, was on TikTok, was going viral on TikTok with snakes, and so they were moving snakes through her platforms. It was just it was a whole meme. The whole thing was just a show, because behind closed doors, it was a completely different situation, a horrific situation on the back end. But yeah, it's just like one of those things, just like Tiger King, man. So what else is going on? Are you going to Tinley? No, I'm not going to Tinley, unfortunately. I've had some invites and stuff, but um, I was just talking about I need to get out there at some point, and then I mean, I'd love to do like a next gen fest or next gen retics get together somewhere. Um, and the cool thing out here in Utah, there's actually more and more keepers and breeders popping up in the space, which is really fun. I sold my F1 Kalatoa from Lucas to a local guy here, and he has I think 4 or 5 retics already. But the community is just growing out here, which is really really fun. So what else is going on? Um, so anyway, that's kind of what we've got going on over here. Those are some updates. I'm hoping that I get some confirmations on some of these breedings in the next couple weeks because I want to do another breeding 101, part to our series of kind of where we're at with things. But dude, I swear this has been the longest when it comes to my animals. This has been like the longest 6 months ever. Because when you don't know what you're looking for and you work mostly remote, like I work mostly remote from home, and you're looking at your snakes every day, you're in the snake room for 8 hours a day, just like working. It's so difficult to know like what's going on and to never do something before. It's just tough, man. Like like is she going? Is this an ovulation? Is this just her backed up after she just got a massive meal? You know, 2 weeks ago or a week ago or whatever. Um, and then the male is like arching, but then he's not breeding, and then she's not allowing him to breed, and then they lock up once or twice, and you keep them in there. She has this weird shed thing going on where she sheds and then she sheds like 30 days later, and it's like, is she? So it's a lot when you don't know what you're looking for, you know. And that's kind of where I've been, I think. So I'm ready to just get some closure, even if she reabsorbed whatever and it's not moving in that direction anymore. It's like, okay, we can prep for next season then. Like we can move on. But it's been 6 months of just hell. And I think honestly, I think the weather seriously has been so insane here in Utah, especially. It's been like it was 70 degrees yesterday. It's 50 degrees today. And then, all of December we got no snow, which is like unheard of. We've gotten snow maybe 2 times all winter. So it's been all over the place. And so I'm hoping that's another reason why it's been so wonky over here. But like I said, it could just be me or my setups or, just me losing my mind, losing my marbles. So anyway, it is fun though. It is really fun to see what people are breeding, and it is cool to see newer breeders like drop clutches and like get that all rocking and rolling. It is funny too because Rodney kind of confirmed to me that, because I always thought when you move females or you ship females out, they're not going to breed, which can certainly happen, right? They like shut down for the year and then next year they whatever. But then sometimes you ship them out and they go right into breeding mode for whatever reason. Like the change does something to them. So it's kind of hit or miss. But yeah, I'm trying to figure out what Either way, I'm kind of thinking ahead for this next season and what's gonna happen. Um, I think a lot of people are focused on locality stuff, which is great. And I've had a few different breeders reach out to me and ask me about Karampas, because I think people are moving some adults around and doing some different things on the Karampa side. And I actually had a mainland breeder reach out to me and um, basically tell me like or ask me like, hey, what's the Karampa market look like? And I was like, honestly, I don't know. Like you're asking the wrong person, but this is kind of where I estimate or think that babies or pairs are going to be going for, males, females, this year. And and he told me, he's like, well, I've got this opportunity to purchase these adult Karampas. And I was like, well, I don't think you can go wrong with purchasing those. And even if it's not your cup of tea and everything else you breed is mainland, if you produce pure Karampas next year, you're still gonna do well on those. You know, you're still gonna do well. So I just don't think you can go wrong on a lot of the Karampa stuff. I know Madus are not super common. I think those will continue to hold their value unless we've got, five breeders that crank out pure Madus next year. Um, Kalatoas, there's actually, there's kind of a range with even with Kalatoas. You've got different people's lines and different looks and stuff like that. I am curious to see. I think Rodney's doing kind of a specific Kalatoa, pure Kalatoa breeding, I think, this year. So I'm interested to see how those turn out too. But yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff, and people are starting to think outside the box. And if it's bringing recessives in and bringing them through localities first, and then into super dwarfs or whatever, like I think that's kind of the way. That's the way to go on stuff. But yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see if we hit on. We'll see if we hit on stuff. I'm watching him like a hawk, and she's acting kind of like she's hungry again. The Coyote female. That was one of the things. She went from being super just like blah for like 2 months to, she's kind of acting hungry again. And like I said, she's not huge yet, but she's really taut. That like last 2/3 of her body is really taut. So I'm hoping that like she's getting fidgety or antsy like she is gravid, and she's moving in the right direction. So anything else? What else you guys got cooking, man? What else are you guys doing? I miss any? Yeah, I mean yeah. It'll be really fun, like I said, in the next couple months. And I always thought that when it comes to hatching and breeding and all that kind of stuff, I for whatever reason I always felt like April was like the month that stuff hatched out and everything like that. But now it's like, for whatever reason, I feel like timelines are getting pushed back. Like we are getting some stuff now that's hatching, and we will in April. But I don't know. I feel like it's a late season. Maybe it's just me, but like historically speaking, when I was always looking at buying like when I was buying my animals or the year before when I was planning, I swear it was like April or, April, March, April were the dates. And now I feel like a lot of stuff's going to be hatching out, early to midsummer. But I don't know if that's normal or not. That's just kind of one thing that I was thinking about the other day. I was like, yeah, it'll be fun to see. But yeah, Ryan Conkey's got some cool Indo stuff cooking. That's gonna be really fun. I was actually looking at whose was I looking at? I was looking at Eric Lee's orange glow he posted from a couple days ago, and I was like, dude, why don't I try to make some orange glows? You know, orange glows are actually pretty sick. I was thinking about that because I've got that purple snow. I was like, why don't I try to make some orange glows? But if I did that, I want to keep the percentages up. Most likely is probably what I would want to do, unless I got like some crazy extra genes in there or something, like where it would make sense. But because my that purple snow is 62.5% Calatoa, Calatoa / Madu, I think. She's super dwarf on that side, and then she's 12.5% Jamp. So she's 75% super dwarf. But yeah, I was looking at some of the contrast on Eric's or orange glow. I was like, man, that's nice. That's a nice looking snake. So that just kind of popped into my brain too. Um, some different options there. So Anyway, we'll figure it out. But what else are you guys working on? You guys got anything else cooking? Anybody else doing is anybody else still trying to breed anything or trying to get any more locks, or is everybody pretty much done? That's what I want to know. You guys done breeding, or are you guys still doing intros and stuff? Because, like I said, I don't know what the hell's going on over here. No idea, dude. No idea, man. And that's what's part of the journey, you know? When you've never done something and you try to go off of key indicators and different variables, I mean, anything can happen. Yo, what's up? What's up, Alex? What's up, guys? How are you? Dude, Alex Carr just got some crazy ocelot stuff, dude. That Indo is like insane. It's gonna be super nice. So yeah. Well, and the other thing I've been thinking about a lot too is my enclosures. My wife isn't super happy about it, but I need to go get some 6 footers this year. Um, I probably want to get like five to stack. Yeah, dude, hit me up. Hit me up, man, about Universal Rock. I love talking about that stuff. Um, yeah, we can talk through a bunch of different things with that. I was actually trying to help them out with their shipping too, and their shipping situation is pretty complex. So I wasn't able to really help them out too much on that. But what was I talking about? Oh, enclosures. So yeah, 6 footers. So I can move most of my females just over into those 6 footers for good. Um, that is kind of the goal, with the goal of also, once again, trying to manage space and not go crazy, because I can see fast how fast my space could go, especially depending on if I have any clutches this year, and what I decide to hold back. It could get nutty pretty quick. So I definitely understand how this can like multiply and get out of hand. So yeah, my wife, we've got another spare room. It's really kind of like our homeschool room in the basement. And I basically told her I had to make a deal with her, that she's going to get a cut. She's going to get a cut. She gets a cut anyway. You know what I mean? She gets a cut anyway off top line revenue. But I had to basically promise her a percentage, because I was like, I need half of this room now, because I can't fit 6 footers in my office. My office is tapped on space. So yeah, she wasn't too happy when I said, hey, I'm taking over half this room, and then I also need X amount of racks and stuff for babies and all that kind of stuff. But hopefully I can just hold my ground between my 4 foot cages. I've got 8 of them, moving most of the females over to the 6 footers, my hatchling racks, and I can just like, you know, I can I can build the fort, and I can hold that. I can be in a holding pattern for a number of years. That's the goal, is not to go past that, because you know I I'm gonna try to just force myself to either move stuff I don't need, or move stuff around, or send out mails on loans or whatever, and just try to keep it uh, reasonable. So what did Alex say? I appreciate it, bro. I wasn't even gonna get her, but he threw her in, and I was puzzled. Oh, he threw her in. Hmm. Well, that's cool. Yeah, send me an Indo Ocelot, but I know Aubrey probably wouldn't. Um, I know a guy, Heartland. Yeah, yeah, dude. Do you have my number, Jordan? You got my number, right? If not, shoot me a DM, and we'll find a time to chat. I actually have some time. I actually have a little bit of time tomorrow or Thursday. My calendar is a little bit lighter, so happy to chat, man. And that's the other debacle, or the other thing that I'm trying to figure out too. Like, do I go the universal rock route on those 6 footers, or do I just kind of keep them plain Jane? And it's hard for me, man, because my 4 footers look so nice. I'm actually going to be deep cleaning them. I bought a bunch of substrate off of Chewy. I'm going to be deep cleaning them in the next like week, like a true spring cleaning, because I got to get in there and I got to just scrub the crap out of those backgrounds, you know. So, and I usually do a pretty good job, like, on a weekly basis. I'm spot cleaning, I'm spraying stuff down, I'm scrubbing, but um, I probably only do a deep, deep clean. I don't know, once every 4 or 5 months ish. Which I know probably sounds bad, but like, dude, it's a full tilt gig scrubbing that stuff and getting that stuff down to where it's like brand new again. So, um, but like I said, I recommend, if you guys haven't tried Reptile Prime the substrate, that's my recommendation, because it's fine. And Reptile Prime has two different substrates. They've got an original version, and then they have an extra fine. The extra fine is just like pure dust. Like, I would not recommend that stuff. But the original, it's got enough substrate. It's almost like that peat. It's like a cocoa fiber. It's got some dust and stuff in it, but it's just light, and it absorbs urine really, really well. It absorbs the smell really, really well. And one of those bags, it is a little bit pricey, I'm not going to lie, but one of those bags will completely fill up like one of my 4 footers. And I mean, it will last me a decent chunk of time. Like, it will last me. I'm not switching out all that substrate every week, every other week. Not even close. Like, um, yeah, yeah. And Repti chip's good. Like, the bigger block stuff is like, I think it's cool. I think it looks really good too. I personally don't think I could ever go to paper. I understand why. Like, I understand it's easy. Cleaning is a little bit easier, all that kind of stuff. But dude, like, when you're working full tilt, like from your computer in your snake room, like, you don't want to smell like piss when you walk out. You know what I mean? Like, every single day. So that's my reasoning behind it. And yeah, my snake room, unless all of them just take a massive dump on the same day, or they're going, they're all going crazy, or one of them took a massive dump in their water bowl and then spilled it. Like, the smell is, I mean, there's almost no smell, which is great. But yeah, the whole paper thing, man, like, hats off, salute to you guys. Um, yeah, I mean, and I've been to some people's places or facilities, and it's pretty brutal, dude. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it could be pretty rough. And then I always keep like a diffuser, just for me, like I said, so I don't have to smell stuff or whatever. But yeah, my snake room, I always ask people when they come over, I was like, do you smell anything like in here? I always try to test them, and they're just like, no, no, it doesn't smell. So, Reptile Prime, man. Reptile Prime's the way to go. Um, what are people saying in here? 100% cypress mulch for everyone. Lol. Um, what's up, Noah? How are you? I tried paper, and when I walked in the building, I immediately said, F. Yeah, dude. Like I said, I've been to some facilities where I'm just like, I can't, bro. Like, I mean, even with fans running and stuff, I was like, this is rough, 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 rough. I only run paper for my carpets and quarantine cages for that exact reason, the smell. Yeah. I used it for a while. I agree. I was doing full cleans every 4 to 5 months, like you're saying, with mostly daily spot. It's money, man. I mean, it's absolute money when it comes to cleaning, because um yeah. I mean, what I will say too, it depends on what you feed your retics as well, because nothing is stopping them them eating pigs and them spraying. Like, if you guys have fed pigs to your retics, I mean, that is a completely different ball game when it comes to that. Like, and if you if you haven't tried it, maybe you just should so you can see the difference. But it is like straight splattered paint, dude. So I stopped feeding pigs. I couldn't do it anymore because the cleanup job on those backgrounds was just it was like I was doing I had to do like a deep clean every week, you know. Um, so yeah, check out Reptile Prime if you want to try out something new. Cypress mulch, all that kind of stuff. Um, I pay more money for rabbits just not to deal with pig poo. I mean, that's where I'm at. I'm putting an order. I'm putting a big order through with Ryan as like his first test order on his rabbits. Um, uh, Vibe, and I just had crazy hailstorm tornado touchdown a couple months. Oh shoot, man. Well, stay safe, man. Hunker down. I used to do door to door roofing sales, and so we would chase hailstorms in Utah and Colorado, and then we would file claims with the insurance company, and then get paid out on it. It was a fun gig, but hail is no joke, man. Hail is no joke, and hail damage. But if you're looking for a good excuse to get a free roof, if your house gets hit with hail, I'm telling you, insurance will pay for a brand new roof. So it is kind of nice on that side of things. $670 of rabbits arrive tomorrow. Nice. Nice. Yeah, I'm dropping, I don't know what it is. It's probably going to be at least $400 with Ryan. Um, we're just dialing in exactly what I need. But um, what I have heard too, oh, I was going to circle back on this. What I have heard too with pigs is if you feed like a jumbo rat after, the fur will help with some of that. But like pigs and retics just become like goo. Like they're just especially when you thaw them out and stuff, like they're just kind of like fatty, gooey guts. Like I don't know how else to explain that. Rabbits, I haven't never done rabbits before actually. So I'm excited to make the switch. I've been doing rats most recently, but I'm excited to make the switch to rabbits because I'm wanting to get a couple of my females ready for this next year, and they just need more, you know. Like, and I even admitted it. I think on Rodney's podcast or Rodney's live, not podcast, but the live, and just talking about like feeding because that's been a huge. It's going to forever be a huge debate about feeding retics, and sizes. Right? It's never going to go away. I feel like, but what I will say, and it wasn't on purpose by any means, but knowing what I know now, I definitely was not feeding enough those first couple years that I had my animals, if that makes sense. They never were malnourished, they were never underfed, but in terms of the prey item sizes that I was feeding and the frequency, it didn't really make sense like in terms of really helping them grow. So that's one thing when I look at a couple of my females now, I'm like, okay, like I've upped their food and now they're really starting to kind of grow and thicken up. But I was like, some of my females, they're 4 years old and they're just tiny, and I think they'll still stay on the smaller side, right? I want to be careful how I say things, but they're going to stay on the smaller side. I still believe, whatever that is, 10 feet, whatever. But yeah, I definitely has had a big impact up until this point. Just kind of not feeding big enough prey items, you know. So it'll be really fun though, like doing rabbits and stuff. And the other thing is too, rabbits can be quote unquote pricey, but um, once you get up to a certain size, you're feeding some of your bigger retics, like for instance, my Coyote could put down like three colossal rats, you know. So it's like why might as well get like a 3 pound rabbit or something, or 3.5 pound rabbit or something, whatever she can eat. But it's like Might as well give her a bigger meal and then just space out the feedings, you know. So just lessons I've kind of learned along the way, and so it'll be really fun to kind of over the next 12 months see where everything lands. And I think Andrew's going to be at Tinley, right? He's going to have a bunch of stuff. I think he's having I don't know he's going to have his Mochino stuff there at Tinley, I believe. And from what I heard from Rodney, I think he's going to have some SD stuff, some SD granite back stuff, I think, all kinds of stuff. So be on the lookout for that when you see Andrew or look at or go check out his stuff. He should have some more stuff available than what people have talked about. Jordan, are you going to Tinley? Are you doing a booth and stuff? Are you bringing some caging out there? That's what I was curious about too. If you've got a booth and things are, or if you have any customers that are picking stuff up too. I think you mentioned that you were potentially going to be doing that, but I could be wrong on that. Could be wrong on that. So anyway, um, and did you guys all get? I was going to ask you guys too. Did you guys all get notified when I went live? I was just curious because like sometimes like YouTube's so weird because obviously I'm subscribed to Rodney's channel. When he goes live, it's like some days it will pop up and then some days it doesn't. So I have no idea like what option or in settings you have to choose to make sure that it pops up. But Jordan, nope, can't make it. Going to Florida to check out Jerry Wolf's monitor set. Oh, nice. That's gonna be sick. Dude, I love Florida, man. Florida is one of my favorite places on earth, like planet Earth. By far. Like by far. My kids love Florida. It's been a couple years since we went down as a family, and it's pricey, like to get an Airbnb and flights and all that. Because I'm not going to drive, 3 days there, 3 days back from Utah. But man, I'm obsessed with Florida. I lived outside of Orlando for 3 years when I was a kid. Um, and man, I just lived in the woods down there, man. It was so much fun. And the fishing's great. Like we usually like to stay on the Gulf side. Fishing's great. Shark fishing's great. All kinds of different stuff to do. I really want to take my kids now that my two boys are getting a little bit older. I want to go down to I want to go do some herping and stuff like that, or go down to drive through the Everglades. Gotta go south a little bit more. But dude, I mean, yeah. If retics were legal in Florida, I'd probably pick up and leave and try to find an excuse to get down there. But um, yeah, it'll be interesting. But dude, it feels like a Friday. Maybe it's just me, or I've had a really long 2 days, but it feels like a Friday. It's only it's only Tuesday. It's only Tuesday. Um, but no, I mean I appreciate you guys and all the love and support, man. It's been really fun, and like I said, seeing some of these other up and coming keepers and breeders get on IG and Facebook, it's been a blast, man. It's been a blast, and you know, let's all be kumbaya moving forward, or try to be. So my wife lived in Florida, wants to go back. I told her as soon as they change the laws. I know, man. And my wife keeps telling me like we need to buy an Airbnb down there. I just don't want to manage an Airbnb, and I know they have management companies and stuff for that, but I was just like, but I don't know. Who knows? Maybe my tune will change, because my kids are homeschooled and I work remote, so I can pretty much work from anywhere, which is really, really convenient. So we're trying, not this year, 2026, 2027. I think we're going to try to do like a 4 to 5 week trip down in Florida in 2027, which will be really fun. And I got to talk to Andrew too, because, time is going to fly by. I think Andrew was planning on going over to Indo or some of the islands or something. I don't know if he's still planning on doing that, but I would love to do an Indo trip in 2027 too. But dude, Utah is awesome. I love Utah. It's just It's really chill, you know. It's really really chill. I live about 45 minutes south of Salt Lake City, so I live more in kind of a rural area, and but there's still plenty to do, and there's so much to do. There's, you know, fishing, there's mountains, there's, you know, there's concerts in Salt Lake, there's sports teams, and then you kind of can get away too up in the mountains and hike and do all kinds of really fun stuff. Bunch of snow sports, skiing, snowboarding, um, bunch of big lakes out here too. It's a good time. I really enjoy it, and I actually grew up in the Midwest. My dad was in medical sales, so all my family's originally from Wisconsin. I lived in Florida for a few years. I lived in Texas for a few years in Austin growing up, and I went to high school in Cincinnati, Ohio, and lived there for, you know, 10 years or whatever. And then I moved out here about when was it, about 11, 12 years ago, 12 years ago. And I just haven't a lot of my family's moved out here too for college or school, or and got married out here. But it's I just like the dry heat. That's why I like being out here. Is the humidity is brutal in Ohio. It can be brutal. It's brutal in Florida in the summer too. We usually historically have gone down to Florida even in the wintertime, like in December. And sometimes you'll get like a rough patch of weather, which isn't fun, like it'll rain a bunch. But Chris, I didn't know you're in Wisconsin. Are you serious? What the heck, dude? We're all cheeseheads then, me, you, and Ryan Conkey. How about them Packers, eh? Um, what else is going on? I lived in Fort Myers for 2 years. It was fun. It's a good time. Florida is fun. Where about in Wisconsin? So my I was born in Milwaukee. My dad's family's all from like the Appleton, Sussex area. My mom's side is in Butler, or was from like kind of that Butler, Wisconsin area, but they all kind of migrated south. They used to live in a small town called Shawano, which is a few hours north, or it's about an hour, 45 minutes from Green Bay. So they all moved closer to Milwaukee for work and stuff. But my grandparents on my mom's side, they all moved back to Shawano. I grew up with my great grandparents. They had a farm out there about 30, 45 minutes away from Green Bay. And man, that's a good time. I was just out there last May, you know, doing a bunch of fishing and stuff like that, and with a lot of my family. So yeah, I grew up out there. It was a blast. But what else is happening? Let's see. Alex, my cousin owns a CrossFit training program. They work from home and don't travel to compete anymore. They moved to Boise, Idaho, and they absolutely loved it. The Western life is cool. Dude, I love Idaho too. I actually went, so my wife and I, we actually met at BYU, Idaho, which is in Rexburg. I think it's a couple of hours from Boise. But dude, Idaho is cool, and you can still get land there and stuff relatively cheap. There's some areas it's expensive. Utah is like insane in terms of pricing, but dude, Idaho is a good time. There's fun stuff to do up there. Good hunting and all that kind of stuff too. Um, let's see. Um, yeah, it is interesting. I've kind of lived all over, and then I think I've shared before. I served a mission in Santa Rosa, California, so Northern California for 2 years, and I I became fluent in Spanish. So I spoke Spanish for 2 years in just north of the Bay Area, and that was a really cool experience too. So I've kind of lived all over, you know, north, south, east, west, Midwest, um, and it is really cool and interesting. But like I said, I my roots are all drawn back to Wisconsin and the people there. Man, it's the food. Every time I go back, I gain about 10 pounds from the food. Food is good. The people are super chill. Fishing is good. Hunting is good. It's just an overall good time out there. So yeah, I'm gonna have to come visit, Chris. I'm gonna have to come visit you and Ryan next time I'm out. Do a little road trip or something. You know what I mean? My uncle owns, I forget what, it's southern Wisconsin, but he owns about 600 acres and he has a bunch of trail cams. And man, he got a huge buck this last fall. So I actually promised him I was going to come out this last fall and bow hunt with him, but I was so busy. So the plan is to get out there this fall and go bow hunting. Cheese curds are good, dude. Everything is good, man. The ice cream is good. You've got Cops, you've got Oscars, or you've got all the good custard ice cream places too. Illinois is bigger bucks. That's what I've heard. But I mean, if I try, I got you got to have some good spots though, right? Or are you just hunting public, Rob? You know, Rob, are you in Illinois? You're in Illinois, aren't you? Or no? Am I off on that? That's sick, man. Yeah, I mean Idaho's got some really good elk hunting. Utah does too. There's some good areas, but you're in the lottery for that. You know what I mean? For the draw and stuff. So, um, but yeah, my boys are kind of getting to that age where I'm like, all right, I gotta get them out and get them doing some good stuff. I'm trying to think what the river is. Shoot, it's in Colorado. What's that spot? I don't know if you guys are big into like fly fishing or trout fishing, but there's this reservoir. It's like in the middle of Colorado, and it bleeds into this river. And at the bottom of the dam, they have some of the biggest and best trout in the world. Anyway, my uncle is all dialed in with that. I took my boys last or about a year and a half ago, and dude, that was like a total blast. Like giant trout we were catching out of that spot. I forget what it's called. What's it called? We call it the toilet bowl is what we call it, because basically what happens is you've got this reservoir, it's got these freshwater shrimp, and they'll get sucked down through the dam, and then the dam will like the water will like froth up, froth up the bottom of the dam will kind of froth up, and then all these trout are just eating these shrimp. And so he had these like teeny tiny little flies that he makes, and we were just casting, man, and it was just a total blast. Big trout we were catching. So yeah, man, I love doing all that stuff. I love doing all that stuff. So Kansas isn't bad. My 156 11 point is the smallest of all my friends, and they're all nice. Yeah, Kansas has some monsters too. So anyway, I don't know how we got into like hunting and fishing and stuff, but this is cool. This is a cool topic. Um, so yeah, I mean it's a blast being outside, and that, like I said, that's kind of how I grew up. If it was Wisconsin, in Wisconsin you get a lot of the snapping turtles. You get like the migration of like a lot of the snapping turtles, like freshwater snapping turtle stuff, and and they've got walleye fishing is pretty good. Muskie fishing, dude. I've had a couple strikes. I've never landed a muskie, man. And it's funny because my great uncle owns, this is at the north end of Wisconsin, but he owns, I think he has 900 acres now. But I went for a week because apparently there's some big lakes up there. We went muskie fishing. I was probably 12, and the dude is like an old school farmer, and so all he likes to do is work. He's one of those guys. Like, we're up on his land, and he had me clear a full field of thistles. This is like I said, when I'm 12, like by hand. I'm like cutting down these thistles for 4 or 5 days and clearing this whole field so he could hunt on it. And so we would work from like 6 in the morning to like 4 and then go fishing. And I was like, this is not fun, dude. Like, I'm exhausted. But we'd go muskie fishing, and then the mosquitoes are destroying us. Um, and so yeah, I got lit up a couple times in terms of I got some strikes, but I wasn't able to land any muskies. But there's some big fish out there, man. There's some big fish in some of those Wisconsin lakes. So your biggest is 46. Dang, dude, that's a nice fish. I'm trying to think. My yeah, my great uncle, he's got a few mountain. I'm trying to think how big. They were 40, I think 43 to 45. So right around that same range, if I remember. Yeah, that's a big fish, man. Yeah, we're gonna have to go. We're gonna have to go. And like I said, I don't. I just want to be able to go fish. I don't want to have to freaking go. Clear trails and clear fields for 10 hours and then earn fishing at the at the end of the day. That's like my family. They were all like dairy farmers and farmers. Um, you know, my great grandparents, my grandparents, great uncles, and that's what they did, man. Just just north of Green Bay. So it's always funny flying out there too, because you always have to go through, where is it? Is it Minneapolis? And then go to Green Bay. Like when I went there, dude, the Minneapolis airport. I know I'm going off on this tangent. Minneapolis airport is an absolute joke, dude. I think it's Minneapolis. Is it Minneapolis or is it Detroit? Anyway, one of those two. I think it's Minneapolis because it's like the Green Bay terminal. Anywhere you land at Minneapolis, the Green Bay terminal is always on the far end of the airport, like the last terminal. And so to catch that connecting flight, I'm literally sprinting every time. Like I've done that. I've done the trip like 4 or 5 times. It's every time, dude. It's every time. So it's like it's just crazy to me. Um, Walleyes, dude. Walleyes are freaking good. My PB walleyes from Wisco, 28 inches. Yeah, we're gonna have to do something. Yeah, Minnesota. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, dude. You know exactly. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You know my pain. You know my pain. Um, yeah, fishing. A lot of my families, they like to catch the. Is it the red? Is it the red? Upper Red River, Wisconsin, I think. But they like catching the smallmouth runs and stuff like that. Dude, smallmouth fishing. Like I've fished for largemouths down in Florida and like done a bunch of that stuff. Smallmouth in Wisconsin is like next level. Like it's so fun. We would just use these little black plugs, you know, these little black plugs and just toss them, dude, and they just light that stuff up. So much fun. Um, yeah, it was my great grandma's funeral. I remember just sprinting, just hauling ass through the airport because the first flight was late, of course. So I literally had 3 minutes, is what it felt like, to get to the other end of the airport. And I'm like, this is almost like a movie scene. Like I'm pushing old people over to get there. It's like I got to get to the terminal. But anyway, it's good times, man. Yeah, this is fun, man. I learned a lot tonight about you guys. So this is fun. This is what I love about the community. And hopefully, like I said, hopefully we could get some of us together at some point. I mean, I don't know where. I mean, obviously I'm not going to Tinley. I think some of you guys are going to Tinley, but we'll have to do something where we get together and go from there. But anyway, I got to run, guys. Much love. Appreciate you. We'll chat soon.